Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest. I hope everybody is having a great week or has had a great week and is looking forward to a fantastic weekend. In this class, we are looking at an IELTS Task 2 writing essay, and we will be finishing this essay with body paragraphs and a conclusion today to get those nice high band scores. I will give you some explanations. This is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. It's a good idea to become a member. Click the join button next to the subscribe button on the channel. Hi Milan. Hi Ferdovs. This class is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, please visit us there. And for general IELTS, check us out at IELTShelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of materials to help you improve communication, English, and band scores for your next IELTS exam. This is our academic website here with the blue background. Click that big red button to join that premium package. It's well worth the investment. This is the general IELTS with the green background. Click that big red button to join us there. Hi Ferdovs, hi Jainil, hi Moni, Hassan, Preeti, Ferdovs, you got a double hi today. All right, everyone, welcome to the class. Good to see all of you. If you ever have questions, members, viewers, contact me at adrian@aehelp.com. That's my email. Hi Rajveer. And again, task 2 right now, and we will follow this task 2 class with a task 1 bar chart that was submitted by Bekjan. Not sure if he's in the class yet, but anyway, that's what's coming up next. And that will be an all chat class where everybody will be able to join in on the chat. So lots of writing today. Okay, let's just quickly review the question that we looked at, and then we'll get right into reviewing the introduction and writing the remainder of this essay. So here is our task 2 writing question. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Some people think that it is necessary to travel abroad to learn about other countries, but other people think it is not necessary to travel abroad because all the information can be seen on TV and on the internet. Discuss both opinions and give your own opinion. Now, one interesting point, members, that we didn't really focus on in yesterday's class, but it is important, is that notice this interesting word here in the question, all. What type of word is all? It belongs to that family of words that have this kind of special name, like best, most, all, fastest, slowest, biggest. What do we call those in the English language? Those kinds of words versus their counterparts like faster, slower, larger. Okay, so what do we call these? Yeah, very good, Rajveer. Very good, Carolina. We call them superlatives. Yeah, superlatives. Look at that word, students, that the members are putting into the chat. Superlative. Super relative, right? So if you think about the word superlative, it's kind of like putting together the word super plus relative. Okay. Of course, words like faster, greater, those are called relatives. Okay. These are called superlatives. You don't hear it in the pronunciation, but you're actually saying superlative. And that, of course, if you know the meaning of super, like Superman, there's nobody faster or stronger than Superman, and so is the concept of these superlatives. It's the most, right? So just a very important tip for professional and academic writing. When you see a superlative, that should always be a red flag, okay? Because that means it is the number one, and you need to be really careful with that in communication. So in this question, remember that in our thesis, we correctly said that it's probably better to travel to other countries to learn all the information. And by looking at this carefully now, we realize how good it really is that we chose that side of the argument, because I think all of you will agree that it's not really possible to learn all the information about another country based on what we see on TV and the internet. Do you agree with me on that, members? That you can't really learn all the information about a country through the internet and TV. Arguably, even living there doesn't give you that opportunity, but at least you get a lot closer, right? So if you try to answer that, yeah, we can gain all the information from TV and the internet, that's basically an impossible argument, right? So a lot of you are going, yeah, no, I get that now. Rajveer, Beck, John, Preeti, Janil, everybody is in agreement, right? So be very, very careful when you hear or read a superlative. You should always put up a big red flag, especially in academic and professional writing. Even in, by the way, just a life tip for everybody. This comes from my studies in psychology. You have to be very careful with superlatives in your communication with your friends and family. So when boyfriend and girlfriend argue with each other and girlfriend says to boyfriend, "You never call me," it's probably not true. I don't think they would actually be a girlfriend and a boyfriend if the boyfriend never called the girlfriend. But maybe he just doesn't call often enough, right? So she would like him to call more. So she should say, "You don't call me enough. I wish you called me at least 2-3 times each day," right? Because if she says, "You never call me," that leads to argument. The boyfriend will say, "That's not true. I call you all the time." So now he uses a superlative. "I call you all the time, like 3 times a week." And she goes, "No, you don't." So they get into an argument, okay? So one of the ways that we can avoid arguments in our personal lives as well is to be really careful with these superlatives. And that, of course, means be really careful using superlatives in the speaking and in the writing section of the IELTS exam, because they're usually not true. Is that clear, everyone? So did you pick up that little life hack, a little gem about using superlatives in communication? Okay, we tend to overuse them. It's in our human nature to overuse superlatives, but it's usually not a good approach. Beck John says, "Got it." Okay, Janil says, "Woohoo, that's a life hack." All right. So now that we recognize that in the question, we are even more confident about our answer. Okay, so let's look at our introduction, and then we'll get into the body paragraphs here. So we discussed the hook, the background, and came up with an introduction like this. Some of you came up with some similar introductions, some of you with even more details. Let's just review this. So many people are curious to learn about other countries. In order to understand foreign nations, a person needs to learn their culture, language, history, economy, and geography. In this way, people not only enrich their lives and broaden their values and tolerance, but also create more opportunities for business and entertainment. Although much information can be acquired through indirect sources online and on TV, I believe that immersing oneself in another country is better for deep learning. So now we can see that this thesis is actually even more sensible for this question. Okay. All right. So clearly from the thesis, we can deduce that the first paragraph will be learning information through the internet and through online sources. All right. Okay, good. So let's get into it. We're going to really work hard to complete this essay today. So let's start with body one. And body one, of course, has a topic sentence. And your topic sentence is not a repeat of your introduction. You should not be repeating your introduction. Instead, you should be giving a deeper definition of your first thesis point. Okay? And the first thesis point here is information can be acquired through indirect sources online and on TV. Okay? So give me a nice topic sentence that gives the reader further definition about getting information on other countries through indirect sources like online and on TV. Okay? Nice full sentence. I'm going to do the same and then we'll compare. So while you're writing, I'll start writing as well and then we'll do a comparison. Okay? So all right, there's my deeper definition of that first point. Ferdov says, most people get used to gaining all the data through indirect ways as it is cheaper and more convenient. Okay, I think for Dobbs that you're giving more of an explanation of why people prefer this method of information. I might save that for my explanation, but it's okay. I think you're cutting into it a little bit too quick. It's a bit of a surprising fact. If you read that for Dobbs right after reading this introduction, it would kind of catch you off guard as the reader. You'd kind of be like, oh, what? Oh, okay, I kind of get it, but I have to make the connection. So careful with that, okay? Try to really lead your reader, for Dobbs, in a step-by-step pattern to your arguments, okay? That takes a lot of practice, and that's what we're doing here. Beckjohn says, these days, all the information about other countries' traditions and history can be obtained in a digital form using tablets and smartphones. Beckjohn, you made a mistake that we just talked about. You get a tick, 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 tick today. What is that mistake, Beckjohn? So there's a mistake in that topic sentence, Beckjohn, that I really want to emphasize here because we just talked about it. What is it? Can you tell me, please? Can anybody else tell me? Another student can tell me as well. No, it's not repeating the thesis point. I think that you have some... Yeah, okay, Carolina, very good. Abhishek, yeah, Rajveer. See, there you go, helping out Beckjohn. Yeah, so you notice that Beckjohn's using the word all in that topic sentence. Do you see that now, Beckjohn? The all? So what should you write, Beckjohn, instead of all? So instead of writing all, what would be a better way to phrase that, a more academic way? Somebody else can help with this as well. So instead of writing all of the information is available on the internet, what would be a more accurate way to express that in a professional or academic setting? Instead of saying all the information. Carolina says most. Ferdov says much. Rajveer says much of the. Yeah, I like Rajveer's the most. That's kind of my style of diction as well. Different ways to do it, but that's how I would write it. Same as Rajveer. I would say much of the information or most of the information. A lot of information, but not all the information. Okay, so everybody's clear on that? Okay, everybody's kind of reassured on. And notice how a professional reader, like myself, will catch that. Okay, your professor will catch that. Another academic will catch that. A master's or a PhD student will catch that kind of superlative. And in a presentation, they'll go, excuse me, Beckjohn, are you sure all of the information about other countries is available online? So they'll catch you on that. Precision is key in professional settings, okay? So I would say much of the information or most. I would use much. Rajveer used most. I would say much is better. I'm not sure if most is available, but definitely a lot of information. Okay. Carolina, thanks for the compliment. Okay. Let's see what's going on with the other topic sentences. And Beck-John, it's good to make these kinds of mistakes because it helps everybody to learn. I see people making this superlative mistake all the time. Okay, so Oa says individuals today can find out plenty of information about foreign countries through the internet or TV easily. Ois, I like it. Okay, that's a good one. I think that's a good topic sentence. A little bit of grammar there that you need to watch for, but overall quite good. Okay, Rajveer says those who advocate the idea of learning about other nations through electronic media feel that it is a rich source to acquire information about a country's culture, language, and people. Maybe a little bit more definition there, Rajveer, but I think you're on the right track. Okay. Millen says television and the internet has had an immense impact on the way people acquire knowledge. Many people like knowing about other countries through digital means. So Milland, what you're doing with that topic sentence is you're actually going more general with your first sentence, okay? That first sentence, Milland, it's more general than the introduction. You never want to do that. So in a good essay, you always want to go from a general idea to more and more specific ideas, all right? I think that what happens in that writing, Milland, is you go with the introduction like a funnel, and then suddenly, boom, you balloon again to more general, and then you go funnel again. You don't want to do that. So the funnel in a good essay should always trickle down to a narrower and narrower concept, and the only time that it kind of balloons back out a little bit is near the end in the conclusion. Okay, so from your introduction through to your last body paragraph, you always want the information to be more narrow and more specific to your response and argument. All right, okay, good, Milind, I see those thumbs up. It's fantastic. All right, Hassan says, learning from both the internet and TV can be very easy and with less time to know about the world and other countries in detail. Yeah, less time consumption. With less time consumption, it's a little bit wordy, Hassan. You can just say with less time, okay? You don't need the word consumption. It's a nice word, but it's unnecessary. So especially once you're doing university writing, viewers, you'll know that professors and professors' helpers do really not like any extra unnecessary words in writing. Okay, so you want to maximize use of words in the assignment. All right. Preeti says, nowadays it is easy to get most of the information from the internet and TV about other countries' cultures, language, and food. Okay, yeah, so if you start to include the idea of easily and cheaply, that's fine. I'm going to save that, I think, for my explanation a little bit, but yeah, that works, okay? So Abhishek says, nowadays, with the help of technology, people not only collect information from other countries without traveling through blogs and websites, but also it is cheaper and convenient. Yeah, Abhishek, I think that works. Okay, so you can do that. All right, you can introduce those concepts. All right, Natalie, welcome. Join us, join in. Okay. So here's my introduction. There are millions of people around the world that upload a wealth of knowledge about their homeland to the World Wide Web and to television shows and movies, which can be viewed globally. So all I'm doing here is I'm giving a definition of how information is truly accessible to people through online and through the TV about other countries, okay? So it's basically a definition of much information can be acquired through indirect sources. The indirect sources, that's what I define here, with millions of people around the world upload a wealth of knowledge. Okay, so what I did in my thinking is I thought, okay, what's an indirect source? Well, really, it's another person in their country who has just made a little video about their hometown, and now they're uploading it to YouTube, and people can now watch that video on YouTube and learn about this person's hometown through their perspective, through their lens. Okay, so does everybody see how I'm using that quantitative information and that visual information to define the concept of acquiring information about other countries through third parties or indirect sources? Okay, so I'm defining that for my reader, because when a reader looks at this, they might have some idea of what I might be referring to by indirect sources, but I want to make that really clear to my reader. I want them to be on the same page. Okay, so Abhishek says yes, got it. Janelle says yes. All right, so now comes the explanation. So here is where I want to mention why, I want to mention some quantitative information, and why certain people may choose to learn about another country in this way. Okay, so here comes the explanation. And again, think about the whys, think about that quantitative information. So I'm going to write the explanation, and then you can do the same. So all right, so that's my explanation. I kept it fairly simple. People often prefer this method of learning other cultures and languages as it is much cheaper and more convenient than traveling abroad. Viewers access thousands of online videos, blogs, and language learning sites daily, as well as watch documentaries and movies about foreign lands and people. Okay? All right. Rajveer says there are thousands of travel blogs as well as hundreds of documentary series available online, and people just need to pay for the data charges on their smartphones and TV recharge fees while sitting on their couches. Yeah. Okay, Rajveer. That works. Yeah, so you're explaining how this happens, why this happens, right? Good. Okay, the TV, it's not a recharge fee, but we would call it a subscription fee, TV subscription. You subscribe to TV channels or a TV package, okay? OS says, in 2020, the internet exists in most homes that allow people to browse the internet to know each aspects of the world within minutes by watching news and documentary films. Okay, oh, it's good. Just near the end there, it's a little bit wordy, 4 directions of the world. I think you're translating that. In English, the common expression is to know about all 4 corners of the world. Okay, I'm just going to momentarily type that up so you remember that. Okay, so all 4 corners of the world. Not 4 directions, but 4 corners of the world. Okay, that would be the accurate English. So keep that in mind. But again, I wouldn't write that here, Ois. It's a little bit wordy. It's a bit awkward, but it's 4 corners of the world. Okay, just for your information. All right. Musafir says people gain knowledge through the internet about different cultures and languages via blogs and videos as per their convenience, anytime, anywhere, through connecting to the internet on their mobile phones and PCs. Yeah, Musafir, that's very good. I would maybe add in by connecting through their mobile phones and PCs just to kind of complete that visual image and idea, but I think you're 90% of the way there, Musafir, so that was good. Okay. Ferdov says individuals commonly choose these approaches because they are... did you retract it? Okay. Bekjan says videos shared by travelers and also breaking news in the country while sitting in the comfort zone, in their comfort zone. Okay. Breaking news, Bekjan, it refers to a different context. Breaking news is when there's some kind of an emergency or some kind of big world event that is unexpected. Like a sudden war that breaks out, or an earthquake, or a hurricane. That would be breaking news. Some kind of a fire, that would be breaking news. So in this context, it's not accurate. It's just news. Okay, so careful with that. Breaking news is sudden, immediate news. Okay, we interrupt this TV broadcast with breaking news about the latest development in the California fires. The smoke has now traveled around the entire globe. Okay, so that would be breaking news. All right, let's see. Hassan says people can sit on their sofa and browse the internet, watch TV channels, and these not only have thousands of documentaries, but also a wealth of learning material about foreign nations. Bit of repetition there, Hassan. Be careful with the spelling of sit, not set, it's sit. And also, Hassan, documentaries is spelled differently, so check the spelling on that, okay? Millen says, people choose to learn about another nation's language, culture, and geography through indirect ways, as it is way easier, more flexible, and cheaper. Millen, careful with your word forms. So easier, more flexible, and cheaper, because there's no such word as flexibler, okay? It's hard to pronounce, so it's more flexible, so you have to write more flexible. There's Maksud. Okay, cool. All right, so now I just need an example, okay? And for this example, I want to use a personal example because I'm going to include my personal opinion in this essay, right? The thesis shows that. So here I'm writing, I believe that immersing oneself in another country or another culture. So obviously there's first person experience here. And I think that first person examples here work really well. Now, some of you may or may not know another language that I speak is Japanese. And I studied that from high school all the way to university. And then I went and lived in Japan for a year where I taught English, learned more Japanese, learned the Kansai dialect called the Kansai Ben. So I'm thinking about this past experience, and I realized that, hey, wait a second, here is a really good example that I can use for both of my body paragraphs. So living in Japan, what that taught me, and previous to living in Japan and learning Japanese from abroad through the internet, through television shows, and of course school, but we won't mix that, how that was different, okay? And we all learned that it is indeed quite different. Yes, I see, Maksud, you're back. Welcome back, okay? So I'm going to use that myself. Come up with your own example and think about that. Think about a situation where you've learned about another country through the internet and TV. And if you've had the chance, then think about learning from another or learning about another country by actually visiting there or going there, okay? I'm going to do the same. I'll write my example and then we'll compare after, okay? Here we go. Musafir just jumped back into. Okay, so here's the example. All right. So I'll add a little bit more. Okay, so there's my example to back up my explanation. I'll read it and then I'll take a look at what you're coming up with here. I'm sure many of you are thinking about this and starting to write. Here we go. Roughly 10 years ago, I had acquired a great deal of information about Japan and the Japanese language by learning a series called by watching a series called Land of the Rising Sun, attending online Japanese language classes. This only cost me a few $100s to get acquainted with the country, and I was able to do it easily from the comfort of my living room. Okay, so that is my personal example because my thesis is first person voice, author voice. So here I'm using a first person author voice for my example. Okay. And for all of our viewers, yes, it's absolutely okay to do that on the IELTS. Many IELTS questions will ask for your first person voice. So when somebody tells you you shouldn't use I or me or my, that's absolutely not true. It's often true for university essays when you have to do research and you have to back up your explanations with what's called empirical data, but you don't have empirical data on the IELTS because you're not allowed to use your phone and you have no idea what the question is going to be before you go to your IELTS. So for the IELTS, using first person voice is okay as long as the question is asking you for that first person voice. Okay? All right. Beckjan says, for example, I watched 50-minute documentary film about the history of America, and I found out that their conflict with the UK and the Independence Day from this nation is 5th of June, 1774. Okay, good. Beckjan, so you're giving a very specific example of American history and culture, and it's a good one, Beckjan, because Independence Day, which is celebrated July 4th, is a huge celebration for the Americans, and it's a very important part of their culture. Okay, Millen said, I saw a documentary telecasted by Travel XP last week called Here We Come, displaying the rich history of Rome, and I really enjoyed watching it on TV. Millen did good. Rome, maybe change that to Italy, so something that still is around now. Okay. Ferdovs says, again, it doesn't have to be fact, so it can be fiction. You can make this up. Okay. Ferdovs says, for example, I have been learning a lot of information about Canada through blogs, YouTube, and Telegram channels. This knowledge helps me when I launch my master's degree there. Okay, Ferdovs, good. Not data, but information. Okay, data is very technical. It's awkward in this context, so information. And then don't jump to the future for Dov, so not will help me, but this knowledge helps me when I begin my master's degree. Launch, more for projects, like I will launch a new project next week. Okay, not something that you do. It's just the slight differences in natural English for Dovs, but you're on the right path. Hassan says, often I am watching a geography channel on YouTube called Geo, and this explains each week a different country, culture, geography, and food with less than 10 minutes of video. Very good, Hassan. It's a very intuitive example. So use the word 10, T-E-N. So 0 to 10, use the words. After 10, use the numbers, okay? All right. Good. So more examples coming up. That's fine. Let's keep going. I'm going to connect and conclude. And here, because I'm going to give a counter argument, I'm going to, especially the counter argument that I support, I'm going to conclude and connect with a lead-in to that counter argument. Okay, so okay. So here my concluding connecting sentence is, nevertheless, third-party sources, although informative, are not enough to become truly knowledgeable about a foreign country. Okay? So here's my connection, conclusion, and my switch to the counter argument, or my lead-in to the counter argument. Okay? If some of you want, you can try that. Let's keep moving along. Let's go on to body paragraph 2. Body paragraph 2 is going to be about the immersion of oneself in another country to optimize deep learning. Okay, so here I'd like to see some topic sentences that give a deeper definition of immersing oneself in another country, which is better for deep learning. Okay, Carolina, if you're still here, I'd love to see some writing from you as well. I hope I'm not just missing it in the chat, but if you're with us and available, then definitely join in. Okay, and that goes for all of our members who might be watching silently right now. Join in, okay? Have some fun with us. It's IELTS, so much fun. So get in there, okay? It really does help, not just for IELTS, but also for your overall communication, okay? So topic sentence for this, okay? Topic. So deep definition of living in another country to get better knowledge. Okay. All right. So let's see your topic sentences for this one. Hassan says, however, learning from the internet or TV cannot replace real life experience about a foreign nation. Good, Hassan, that's your connecting concluding sentence. It's very clear for me. It's real life experience. Okay, real life, not live, but life, L-I-F-E. Okay. Yeah, there, you're using it in the next one. Good. Learning from real life experience can be far better to know the nitty-gritty about the world's countries. Okay. All right. Again, here, just a quick tip. Don't forget your planning, right? So some of you incorporated the why into your topic sentence. It's a bit easier, a bit cheaper. Remember these what, why, hows about the controlling ideas as well. So to travel to the other country and immerse oneself in the culture and learn through first-hand experience. Remember the why? To have complete 24-hour multiple sensory integration. Now, I might not use all of this because I think some of this might be a little bit more suitable for the explanation, but some of this could be useful for the topic sentence as well, okay? Rajveer says, people submerge greatly and enhance their knowledge. People submerge and enhance their knowledge greatly about the traditions and languages of countries by visiting there and interacting with locals daily. Very good, Rajveer. That's what I was hoping somebody would pick out from this 24-hour multiple sensory bit here that we covered in the planning phase. Okay? All right, good. So, all right. Let's see what else people have. Millen says feeling, sensing, and seeing a country all the time while staying there has a better impact to enhance knowledge. Just take out, Millen, the word our, and you have a perfect topic sentence to enhance knowledge. Okay, you usually don't need the word our, students. Okay. Maksud says visiting a foreign country is much better in terms of feeling the temperature and learning the culture. Instead of feeling the temperature, Maksud, I would say feeling the climate, because climate is more than just the temperature, but it's also your surroundings. Okay, so change the word temperature to climate. Bekjan says by going abroad, individuals learn about others' nations' way of living and customs in detail through physical interaction on a daily basis. Beautiful, Bekjan. Okay, very nicely done. Very nicely done. Excellent. Ferdov says, nowadays, humans prefer to gain a lot of information through traveling and immersing themselves in foreign languages, culture, and environment. Ferdov, it's a little bit repetitive with the thesis, okay? A little bit repetitive with the introduction. Not completely, but I think you could be a bit more unique, okay? Oa says it is useful when people move to other countries and merge with local culture there to learn more details about the nation. Okay, Oa is good. I think you're on the right track. It's simple but beautiful. Okay, it's looking good. All right, here is what I wrote. Living in another country and experiencing the people and the culture day in and day out is arguably the best way to quickly gain knowledge of the surroundings. Okay, so here I went with best. So I went with a superlative, and the reason why is because in this context, I am confident that it's the best way. Okay, so I would argue someone that there is no better way to learn about another country than going and living there. Okay, so let's explain that to our reader. Okay, so what do we mean? Okay, so imagine yourself. Now, if you've had experience with this, it'll be, of course, a bit easier. If you haven't, you have to imagine it. So if you go to another country, like if you're in Kazakhstan and suddenly you find yourself in the United States, why are you going to learn about that culture and that country so fast? What is different than simply just turning on the TV or turning on the computer? There's a very clear difference there that you should consider when you're giving this explanation. Okay? So think about the explanation here. All right? Okay, and then I'll read some more. Romaine, I'm reading yours as well. And it's a good idea. You need to just pay attention to some grammar mistakes. Okay, here I'm going to explain it. So, All right, so there's my explanation. Oa says the person living in a foreign country can communicate face to face with natives and understand their ways of living and traditions and can taste their food. Yeah, Oa, so you're good. You're starting to realize that, yeah, wait a second, you can't really taste the food of another country through the internet. I mean, even if you prepare it at home, it's arguably impossible to prepare the exact same dish with those local ingredients as you would living in that country. So good, you're starting to pick up on that difference. Okay, very good. All right. Rodriguez says not only can people get the opportunity to learn about customs by taking part in festivals celebrated through the year, but also learn languages much faster by communicating with locals. Okay, good. Rajveer, I think you're on the right track. It's the force of necessity. And for those of you who haven't had this experience yet, you will realize this very quickly when you're living in another country that there's even an expression for this. The force of necessity is the greatest teacher. So Carolina complimented me saying I'm the greatest teacher, but I would argue, Carolina, that the force of necessity is the greatest teacher of all. Okay, so here we go with my explanation. When individuals are submersed in a foreign culture, they are forced to communicate and comprehend their new community in order to achieve their goals, and through the force of necessity, gain knowledge much faster than through TV or the internet. In this way, they not only see and hear the culture and geography, but can also smell, taste, and touch it. Okay? All right, and then my example. And my example is going to flow and connect with my previous one about Japan. Remember how I mentioned in my previous that I learned about Japan through a show and through online learning of the language? Well, here I'm going to take that same example and expand on it. Okay, so I think I used although already, so I'm going to use even though. Okay, just going to stick with some hiragana there, or romaji, I should say. Okay, so here we go. This is my example. Even though I had learned about Japan through the internet before traveling there, it was not until I had lived in Osaka for a year that I truly came to understand the Japanese people and adopt the local dialect of Kansai Ben, okay, which is the Kansai area use of the Japanese language. Okay, all right. So that's my example. So come up with a similar. Now, again, this is just a reminder for everyone that when you can create or use the same example that you used in the previous paragraph, you're going to end up with a much more cohesive essay. So if you can reuse the same example, but of course with a different context, it will add cohesion to your essay, making it read even better. Okay, so keep it in mind. All right. Preeti says, living 24 hours in a different country gives the opportunity to interact with native people and adopt their habits, which is easier and faster way of achieving these than through television, okay, or the internet. So Preeti, just the end there, I would change that a little bit to make it more comparative and make it clearer, okay? Abhishek says, when humans travel to a foreign land, not only do they get the chance to join local festivals and cuisines, but also to interact with the natives in person. Yeah, I think it's okay, Abhishek. I think there's a little bit of redundance there, so careful with that. Okay. All right. Good. So now we have the conclusion left. Okay. And the conclusion is points restated, argument strengthened, and take home message. That's what creates a good conclusion in a persuasive essay. So that's what we want to do. Okay, so I'm going to write the whole conclusion, and I challenge you to do the same. If you're not 100% sure, just do your best. If you've learned this from previous classes, then I expect to see you produce these ideas. So restate the points, paraphrase them, then restate your argument, and finally give some kind of a take-home message. Okay, this is the challenge. You've got 2 minutes to do it, so I can still read it. Okay. Romain says, dating back to a few years ago, I arrived at Saint Etienne, an industrial city located in the northeast of France, where I felt and somehow touched what I had learned in books and TVs about this country. Okay, Western country, this country, more specifically. Okay, a lot of different Western countries with a lot of different cultures, Romain. So about this country. Okay, Hassan says, in conclusion, even though the internet and TV have great learning material about foreign countries, I'm on the side that traveling and having real life experience can be both enjoyable and can gain knowledge to understand a nation. Yeah, Hassan, it's good. Careful with enjoyable. We haven't really discussed that in the essay. So if you don't discuss the concept of enjoyable, I probably wouldn't introduce that in the conclusion. You see what I mean, Hassan? Like if you introduce and more enjoyable, the reader might go, oh, what do you mean? I really enjoy watching documentaries and watching shows on YouTube. So why are you suddenly telling me this now? Okay. So careful with just that word enjoyable. Do not include new ideas into the conclusion. Okay. Hassan says, at the end of the day, most people like to travel abroad. Okay, yeah, sure. I think that works for a take-home message. All right. Yeah, traveling abroad is an important part of most people's lives. Absolutely, Hassan. I agree. I think that's an interesting take-home message. I'll write my conclusion. Hopefully, I'll see a few more. By the way, Hassan, you get a thumbs up for being fast, okay? Oftentimes, students, it's good if you're accurate, but also as you get closer and closer to your exam, work on being fast so that you can do all this in that 40 minutes, okay? So All right. So there's my conclusion. I'll just read this out to you. In conclusion, much but not all of the information can be learned about another country through digital media. However, traveling to a foreign land is undoubtedly the most effective way to not only become familiar with the culture and language, but also to do this quickly. Ultimately, having a truly deep understanding of a foreign culture is much more valuable, and this is the reason millions of people travel abroad to study, work, and live each year. Okay? So that's my key points summarized, arguments strengthened, and then my take-home message. All right, let me get through a few of yours as well. Rajveer says, in conclusion, the World Wide Web and TV are a rich source of information to learn about a foreign country, but overall, it is not the best way to acquire the maximum amount of knowledge about a country. Good, Rajveer. Oh, it says, I encourage everyone to get true idea of a country through travel because living there is truly the best teacher. Ois, I think you have a really good idea. You just have to phrase it better. I think you have a really good idea there. You just have to phrase it better. Beckjohn says, in conclusion, although digital information about other countries' living conditions and traditions are easily attainable for reasonable prices, I still believe that by traveling abroad, people gain much more education through first-hand experience. Okay, watch the grammar near the end there, Beckjohn. Musafir says, in conclusion, the internet gives a bunch of information about the culture through videos and watching documentaries, but to be in a real life circumstance is the real deal, and that's why traveling is always preferable. Good, Musafir. Watch your grammar. Don't use us and don't use bunch. It's very colloquial. Preeti says, in conclusion, I experienced living abroad, and it's more fruitful for learning and accepting culture than a digital platform. So the most effective and useful way is traveling abroad and acquiring first-hand information. Good. Okay, Romain says, to conclude, although we learn about a foreign country in modern media, and this is a valuable approach, being embedded in local people's lives is a more efficient option to get the gist of the culture. Okay, that's good, Romain. All right, so that's the full essay. I will post this on our community board on our channel. Check the community posts. For everybody watching to get access to our HD videos, lots and lots of help to improve those band scores, check us out at aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com, aehelp.com for academic, gieltshelp.com for general. Good job, everyone. That's it. We are out of time. I got to get going here, but I will be back in 30 minutes for a task 1 bar graph. Beckjohn, that will be the bar graph that you sent, or the bar graph. So that will be task 1. Hopefully I will see everybody there. Take a short break, take a breather, and I'll see you soon. I'm Adrian. Much love to all of you. Signing out from Budapest. Bye for now.